From a single leased Boeing 747 and the audacious vision of Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic burst onto the aviation scene in 1984 as a challenger brand determined to shake up the skies. More than just an airline, it embodied Branson's rebellious spirit, fun, stylish, and unapologetically different from the industry giants of the time. With its signature red uniforms, cheeky advertising, and groundbreaking onboard innovations like personal seatback entertainment, Virgin Atlantic redefined what it meant to fly long-haul. It wasn't just about getting from A to B. It was about enjoying the journey with a touch of glamour and playfulness. The road, however, was never smooth. Fierce competition, economic downturns, and the unprecedented shock of the COVID-19 pandemic tested the airline's resilience. Yet time and again, Virgin Atlantic reinvented itself through partnerships, fleet renewal, and a renewed focus on customer experience. Today, Virgin Atlantic stands as one of the most recognizable transatlantic carriers, carrying forward its founder's bold spirit while charting a path toward a sustainable future. If this story lifts you up, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring journeys above the clouds. Virgin Atlantic Airways was officially founded in 1984, though its roots trace back to an idea first developed by Randolph Fields and Alan Hellery under the name British Atlantic Airways. Entrepreneur Sir Richard Branson, already a high-profile disruptor in music retail with his Virgin Records and Virgin Megastores empire, quickly saw an opportunity. He bought into the startup, bringing not only capital but the Virgin brand's energy, youth appeal, and flair for publicity. On June 22, 1984, Virgin Atlantic launched its maiden commercial flight, connecting London Gatwick with Newark, New Jersey, using a leased Boeing 747-200. Branson himself was there at the departure gate, handing out champagne to passengers and making headlines. From day one, Virgin set out to prove that long-haul air travel could be fun, glamorous, and customer-centric in direct contrast to the staid, bureaucratic image of legacy flag carriers. The mid-1980s were a period of rapid expansion. By 1986, Virgin had introduced a second Boeing 747 and inaugurated service to Miami, catering to both business and leisure travelers. New York JFK followed in 1988, then Tokyo Narita in 1989, Los Angeles in 1990, Boston in 1991, and Orlando in 1992. Virgin was clearly positioning itself as a UK long-haul challenger, focusing exclusively on intercontinental routes where wide-body aircraft gave it efficiency and brand presence. A defining strength of Virgin Atlantic was product innovation. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, the airline launched its upper-class cabin, designed to blur the line between business and first class. This included the introduction of lie flatbeds, pioneering at the time, and a chauffeur-drive service for premium passengers. Another milestone was Virgin's decision to install personal seatback televisions across its fleet, making it the first carrier to provide individual in-flight entertainment to every passenger. These features gave Virgin a reputation as a trendsetter in aviation, reshaping customer expectations across the industry. However, Virgin's growth soon brought it into direct conflict with British Airways, BA, which had long dominated UK long-haul travel. The rivalry escalated after 1991, when regulatory changes allowed Virgin to secure valuable slots at London Heathrow. This move challenged BA's supremacy on key transatlantic routes. The competition turned ugly, with BA's infamous Dirty Tricks campaign, a systematic effort to undermine Virgin by spreading rumors, poaching passengers, and interfering with bookings. Virgin sued for libel, and in 1993 the High Court ruled in its favor, awarding Virgin £3 million in damages plus legal costs. Branson distributed the compensation among Virgin's staff as a BA Christmas bonus, a symbolic gesture that reinforced the airline's underdog, people-first image. Virgin capitalized on the public relations battle by doubling down on its cheeky, irreverent branding. Aircraft were repainted with bold Union flag designs on their tails, while advertising campaigns positioned Virgin as the true British challenger to BA's establishment monopoly. Despite the turbulence, Virgin Atlantic entered the late 1990s as a serious force in international aviation. Its fleet consisted of Boeing 747-200s and 747-400s, along with newly acquired Airbus A340s that allowed longer, non-stop flights to Asia and the Caribbean. Passenger volumes rose steadily, and the airline's global footprint expanded to multiple continents. By 1992, Virgin was already operating multiple daily transatlantic services out of Gatwick and, increasingly, Heathrow. With Tokyo secured as a flagship Asian destination, Virgin had cemented its role as a major UK long-haul carrier, albeit still significantly smaller than British Airways. Ownership remained split, 51% Virgin Group and 49% foreign partners, a structure that ensured compliance with UK airline ownership laws while providing financial backing for growth. The first 15 years of Virgin Atlantic's history set the tone for what it would become, an airline that thrived on differentiation, innovation, and brand personality. By leveraging Richard Branson's celebrity status and the wider Virgin brand ethos, the carrier transformed itself from a single aircraft upstart into an internationally recognized competitor. More importantly, Virgin Atlantic proved that there was room in the market for a challenger that blended glamour with service. Its innovations, lie-flat business seats, in-flight entertainment for all, and a cheeky challenger spirit forced larger incumbents to raise their game. Even amid legal battles and market struggles, Virgin's identity as the fun and human airline became firmly established. The dawn of the new millennium saw Virgin Atlantic determined to cement its reputation as a challenger in the long-haul market. Building on its transatlantic strength, the airline moved into new regions with bold ambition. South Africa entered the map in 1999 with services to Johannesburg and later Cape Town, while India became a strategic priority, with flights to Delhi launched in 2000. In 2004, Virgin pushed further, unveiling a marquee ultra-long-haul route from London to Sydney via Hong Kong. Though the Sydney service was eventually dropped in 2014, it reflected the airline's global aspirations. Expansion went hand in hand with fleet modernization. Virgin became the launch customer of the Airbus, a 340-600, in 2002, at the time the world's longest commercial aircraft, marketed with an innovative cabin layout. The airline also placed early bets on Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, anticipating a new era of fuel-efficient twin jets. By the mid-2000s, Virgin operated one of Europe's youngest fleets, blending Boeing 747-400s with A340-300s and A340-600s. Yet the 2000s highlighted vulnerabilities beneath the glamour. Passenger demand proved highly sensitive to external shocks, from the September 11 attacks to the 2008 financial crisis and swings in fuel prices. Between 2010 and 2013, the airline accumulated losses of about 233 million British pounds, underlining the fragility of its business model in competition with dominant rivals like British Airways. Strategically, Virgin turned to alliances to secure its footing. Singapore Airlines, which had taken a 49% stake in 1999, sold it at a loss in 2012 to Delta Airlines. For Delta, the investment carried strategic weight, creating a counterbalance to the BA American Airlines joint venture on North Atlantic routes. Virgin also benefited unexpectedly from an antitrust case in 2007 to 2008. While regulators fined several airlines for fuel surcharge collusion, Virgin escaped penalties through an immunity deal. Diversification was attempted but uneven. Virgin Nigeria, launched in 2005, ended in withdrawal after governance disputes, while the short-lived Little Red brand sought to capture domestic UK traffic between London and regional cities before folding in 2015. Despite financial turbulence, Virgin's brand never lost its shine. Its premium cabin struck a chord with value-seeking travelers, while upper class added signature touches such as the private upper-class wing at Heathrow and stylish clubhouses in hubs like London and New York. By 2013 to 2014, Virgin carried around 5 to 6 million passengers annually on a fleet of 45 aircraft, generating close to 2.9 billion British pounds in revenue. The 2000s ultimately defined Virgin Atlantic as both innovator and survivor, a carrier celebrated for glamour and service, yet constrained by thin margins, a duality that set the stage for restructuring and reinvention in the decade ahead. The 2010s marked a turning point for Virgin Atlantic, defined by bold alliances and sweeping fleet renewal. In 2013, Delta Airlines acquired a 49% stake from Singapore Airlines for $360 million, cementing a transatlantic joint venture that combined Virgin's Heathrow slots with Delta's vast U.S. network. The partnership enabled joint scheduling, revenue sharing, and access across nearly 100 city pairs, crucial, as CEO Steve Ridgway admitted, to survive after years of losses. Virgin later pursued ties with Air France, KLM, and by 2020, the three carriers formally launched an expanded joint venture, offering more than 340 daily flights and connections to 200-plus destinations. Fleet transformation reshaped Virgin's operations. From 2014, it introduced 7, 8, 7, 9 Dreamliners, followed by the A350-1000 in 2019 and the A330-900neo in 2022, while retiring its 747-400s and a 340-600s. By the end of the decade, Virgin operated a young, fuel-efficient twin-jet-only fleet. Customer experience remained central. Virgin refreshed upper class with the Retreat Suite, added wireless charging and upgraded entertainment, and unveiled Vivienne Westwood uniforms made from recycled fabrics. Its Flying Club loyalty program was integrated with Delta and Air France KLM, strengthening value for frequent travelers. By 2019, Virgin carried 5.4 million passengers annually, positioning itself as a leaner, premium transatlantic competitor ready for the 2020s. The COVID-19 pandemic struck Virgin Atlantic with unprecedented force. In April 2020, the airline suspended all passenger flights, resuming only a limited schedule by July 2020. A sweeping restructuring soon followed. 3,150 job cuts, the closure of its London Gatwick base, and the early retirement of its 7 remaining Boeing 747-400s. The Airbus A340-600s had already been withdrawn, accelerating the shift to a smaller twin-jet-only fleet. Financially, the collapse was stark. Revenue fell from 2.9 billion British pounds in 2019 to just 868 million British pounds in 2020, while passenger numbers dropped to about 1.1 million. Facing severe liquidity pressures, Virgin filed for Chapter 15 bankruptcy protection in New York to facilitate a 1.2 billion British pound refinancing. The package combined new equity from Virgin Group and Delta Airlines with creditor concessions, restructured leases, and revised debt terms. Unlike many European carriers, Virgin survived without direct state aid. Through 2020 to 2021, operations focused on cargo services and select leisure routes, while CEO Shai Weiss drove a disciplined restructuring. Union consultations, supplier renegotiations, and streamlined costs created a leaner foundation. By late 2021, Virgin had restored financial stability. With debt waivers lifted and transatlantic routes reopening, the airline emerged slimmer, strategically focused, and positioned for recovery as global travel demand returned. From 2022 onward, Virgin Atlantic has executed one of the most ambitious turnarounds in its history. Leaner after pandemic restructuring, the airline sharpened its focus on long-haul markets, accelerated fleet renewal, and deepened global partnerships to reclaim its position as a premium transatlantic competitor. A milestone came in 2023 when Virgin became the first UK airline to join SkyTeam, opening access to nearly 1,000 destinations worldwide. Membership brought reciprocal frequent flyer and lounge benefits, complementing its joint venture with Delta and Air France KLM, which coordinates schedules and revenues across more than 100 transatlantic city pairs. New code shares with Korean Air, Vistara, Indigo, and Saudia further expanded reach into Asia, India, and the Middle East. By 2023 to 2024, Virgin was serving 28 destinations across 4 continents, with new routes to Austin, Tampa, the Maldives, and Turks and Caicos. The strategy targets diaspora and VFR, markets India, West Africa, Saudi Arabia, while leveraging cargo demand to diversify revenues. At the core is a modern twin-jet fleet of 44 aircraft, a 330-300s, a 330-900 NEOs, a 350-1000s, and 787-9s, averaging under 7 years of age. These deliver up to 30% efficiency gains over retired quadjets. Sustainability is central, highlighted by Flight 100 in November 2023, the world's first 100% sustainable aviation fuel transatlantic passenger flight. Recovery has been swift. In 2023, revenues reached 3.1 billion British pounds, surpassing pre-COVID levels, with EBITDA of 352 million British pounds and an improving bottom line. Passenger volumes hit 5.3 million at a 77% load factor, and profitability is targeted under the 4-year Velocity X plan. Now operating primarily from London Heathrow and Manchester, Virgin Atlantic stands firmly embedded in SkyTeam and its joint venture ecosystem. With profitability in sight, its challenge lies in sustaining growth, defending its premium edge, and delivering on ambitious environmental commitments. By 2025, Virgin Atlantic has re-emerged as a revitalized niche global carrier. Its strategy revolves around a young, fuel-efficient fleet and a strong transatlantic partnership with Delta and Air France-KLM, positioning the airline as a premium choice for long-haul travelers. Despite past upheavals, from fierce competition with British Airways to repeated restructurings and the COVID crisis, Virgin today is leaner, sharper, and more disciplined. It continues to operate under the iconic Virgin brand, known for its fabulous service, signature clubhouses, and innovative upper-class experience, while advancing net zero goals and maintaining financial resilience. With a fleet of about 44 aircraft carrying 5 to 6 million passengers annually, Virgin Atlantic is not the largest airline, but it remains the UK's most celebrated independent long-haul operator. Its long-term vision, to become the world's most loved travel company, is pursued through growth in high-yield markets across India, Africa, the Middle East, and premium leisure destinations. Underpinned by disciplined operations, backed by powerful alliances, the Delta Air France-KLM joint venture, and full SkyTeam membership, and a clear ESG commitment, Virgin Atlantic is firmly positioned in 2025 as a resilient transatlantic specialist and a growing global brand, ready to capture the next wave of international travel demand.